Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to welcome each of you to another FranTastic InSights video segment or podcast, whereby we introduce to you some very prominent personalities, all of whom are having a very positive impact on the ever-growing world of franchising. My name is David Craghead. I'm the Chief Franchise Expansion Officer for FranServe, and today I'll be your host for this week's FranTastic InSights video podcast. FranServe, for those who may not be familiar with us, FranServe is recognized as the world's largest franchise consulting and expansion organization. We have a very simple mission. That is, we change people's lives in a very positive way through franchise ownership. And we do that through a network of incredible franchise brands in 39 different industry categories. And our growth initiatives are supported by a growing portfolio of franchise consultants. I think the industry most often refers to them as brokers, but all of whom are dedicated to helping their clients explore franchise opportunities, which are deemed to be a perfect match for their individual search criteria. And today I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Frank Samson. Frank is the founder, the CEO, and a certified senior advisor for the Senior Care franchise concept, better known as Senior Care Authority, most often referred to as an assisted living placement agency. But as you're going to hear today, Senior Care Authority is much more than a placement agency for seniors. Their services extend to elder care consulting, elder care advocacy, and they even include placement assistance and family coaching, along with employee assistance solutions for elder care. And under Frank's leadership, Senior Care Authority has established, developed, and grown their franchise portfolio to well over 100 units since they first began franchising. I believe I'm correct in saying that goes back to 2014.
That's
So,
right.
Frank, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate your time. And as I pass the microphone to you this afternoon, please, if you would, Frank, share your business model description and your latest perspective on Senior Care Authority.
Great. Well, David, thank you. I mean, you did such a great job. I mean, we got a lot covered just by your introduction. So thank you so much, and thanks for having me on. I guess the simplest way to explain, what we do is we're kind of a niche. We are a niche in the senior care industry. When people hear the terms senior care business, they think of home care. And though I have the greatest respect for those in the home care market, that's not what we do. What we do is we really help families navigate through a very complex healthcare system and assist their families with the best place to live and receive the proper care. I mean, that's really the bottom line. We work with assisted living communities, memory care, and even skilled nursing. So that's really the model, and as far as the what really the goal is, David.
Okay.
But as you said, we offer quite a bit more than that. What we call elder care consulting. I'm happy to get into that if you wanted to now, or we could discuss it later.
You've got the microphone. Go with it as you see fit.
All right. So people, always ask, or prospective people, brokers, well, what's your differentiators? And though there are many, I'll zero in on probably the most prominent differentiator in our brand, and that's what we call elder care consulting. So let's go back to placement. Placement is, as I say, helping families find the right place to live and get proper care for their loved ones. Elder care consulting is a series of other services that we offer to families. Not everybody is ready to make that move into assisted living. So there's a number of other services that we offer that provides our owners with another revenue stream but more importantly, really just services that could really help the family and help that franchisee start to build rapport with that family until maybe it moves into placement. I'll give you just a couple, try to give you a couple quick examples of it.
Thank you.
One is a program that I actually didn't start. I acquired the company called Beyond Driving with Dignity. It was developed by an Ohio State police trooper who had the unfortunate job of having to knock on a family's door at their home to let them know that maybe a loved one had been killed or badly injured in an automobile accident. And he realized that not all, but many accidents maybe were the cause of an older driver that should not have been behind the wheel. So when he retired from the police force, he put together a program, and it was just a fantastic program to really help that family determine and really that the actual senior themselves, more of a self-assessment program for older drivers. And so we acquired the company, and we have continued to market that through with families across the country, and we even have a CEU program on educating people within the healthcare industry on it as well. So if you think about it, if someone maybe shouldn't be behind the wheel anymore, um, what would be that next step? And that next step, might be home care, it might be placement into assisted living. So it really gives us the option to start to work, with the families. We also have a program which we call Peace of Mind. Peace of Mind is really providing uh, companionship more than anything else with a family member uh, who might be at home, they might be at an assisted living community, that they just need company. Loneliness is a huge, huge issue with seniors today. It's one of the greatest challenges today is loneliness. Sometimes somebody may not have a lot of family. They may have family that live afar. They may have family that they're working all the time. And maybe we're not talking care. We're not visiting them and providing any care. It just might be listening to music together. It might be uh, poetry. It might be some of our franchisees hire somebody who play an instrument and they go and they play the instrument with them. So it's just, again, a way to continue to develop relationships with the family and provide, additional companionship for that senior. And those are two examples, but where I could bring up a whole lot, but I don't want to take a half hour up with that. But just know that the way our franchisees earn their dollars, the bulk of those dollars are earned from placement, and they're being paid a commission from the assisted living community and memory care location, many of which we have contracts with already. And the elder care consulting side of it, the family pays the franchisee directly for those services.
Yeah. Frank, I've recently learned that you have just in the last few weeks published a new book entitled The Aging Boomers, and I'm one of those aging boomers. So can you speak about that book just a little bit, please?
Yeah, actually, David, you might have thought it was recent, but actually, it was published a few years back. All right, and but it still pertains to things today. It's a book that I wrote. I do a podcast, and I've been doing a radio show and a podcast since a radio show since 2010 and a podcast since 2014. And many people said, "Boy, it would be great. You have such great information in those podcasts. Maybe you should write a book." And I started thinking about it, and I actually did. I wrote that book, and it's really there not to just explain our industry, but to provide guidance to families who are confronted with a situation. It kind of takes them through the various stages of that process, depending what needs to be done with their loved one. And I actually took a lot of the transcriptions that I've done in interviewing attorneys and interviewing home care companies on my podcast, and used some of those transcriptions actually in the book. So yeah, and if those of you that are listening, if you want to email me, even though the book is available on Amazon, if you want to get a hard copy, feel free to email me at frank@seniorcareauthority.com. Let them know you were listening to this show, and I'll send you a complimentary electronic version of the book so you could read it on your iPad or on your computer or on your phone. So I'd be happy to do that.
I'm sure my wife would like for me to read that book for you, Frank.
It's some good information in there. So good. Great.
And your podcast is entitled Boomers Today. Is that correct?
It is titled Boomers Today. Yeah, it's interesting. When I wrote the book before I started the podcast, and I brought in some consultants to provide me guidance on the podcast a while back, and they said, "Boy, it's just a great show and great information, but we have a recommendation for you because it was called The Aging Boomers, the same name as the book." And they say, "I think you should change the name." I said, "Really? Why?" And they said, "Well, the boomers are aging. You're actually right, but they don't want to admit they are." So, so I
Myself
changed.
included.
Yeah, so I changed it to Boomers Today, and I interview people all over the country, even outside of the country, on various subject matters. We're not just talking placement. If anything, it's so many other areas. There's researchers. We spent a lot of shows talking about dementia, and I just did a show just recently on vision and hearing, and I interview specialists from all over. The beauty of it, couple things. One, for our franchisees, the majority of the franchise of the people I interview are referrals from our franchise owners around the country, people that they have met in their local communities, and these are people they're trying to build relationships with in their local communities, and they'll forward them on, and then we'll set them up for an interview. So it not only provides a great education for our listeners, but it also helps our franchisees as they, are working to build relationships, these B2B relationships in their local community. On top of it, we provide, the franchisees a tool that they could go in and and search a particular subject matter on with the podcast. So, for example, if they are dealing with a family and the loved one has been diagnosed with Parkinson's, let's say, then they could actually go into the search tool and find out any of the podcasts where we spoke about Parkinson's. Now, you have to remember, I've been doing this almost practically every week, practically, except vacation time, every week since 2014. So we have a lot of great content. So that way, that franchisee can search it and forward on the podcast to their family members so they could learn more. All right. Because for example, I probably had on somebody who was a Parkinson's expert or somebody from the Parkinson's Association, or they want to do research on Lewy body dementia. They just have to type that in, and what comes up is any of the podcasts on that subject matter. So it's actually quite advantageous to our franchisees in helping to educate the families they're working with.
And the best way to access your podcasts are
Yeah, so and your favorite podcast station, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you could go to Siri or Alexa and say, "Take me to Boomers Today." I mean, we're on all the various podcast stations.
okay.
Just type in Boomers Today, or you could type my name, and it will pop up, and you could. They're all there from the very beginning, so you could look at the
Okay.
subject matter that interests you, and there it is.
Thank you, Frank. What effects, if any, is the current economy having on your franchise and on your franchise owners?
Well, it's certainly not have any negative impact at all with our franchise owners. The thing about it is that people are continuing to get older, as we know, every single day. And the boomers are soon going to be reaching 75, and older. So uh, we haven't, seen anything, as it relates to our business and franchising. And you probably know this, David, when if the economy is affecting layoffs, that actually our business increases because of people that are interested in, they're tired of corporate America and they want to do their own thing. So it certainly has helped us. We're not seeing any with any tariffs or things like that, where it doesn't really, affect us at all. Um, I would say that within the industry, however, there's a lot going on within our industry. There's a lot of consolidation going on amongst assisted living communities around the country. Some of the larger players are selling off some of their locations, assisted living communities, memory care locations, and some of the regional, more and more regional players are then starting. Um, Meaning if a company decides to sell off some of their communities in a couple different states, somebody purchases them, and now we have a new regional company we're working with. So that is making it a little, I would say sometimes it's a little more challenging for the franchisees, but we're staying on top of it. And we have somebody dedicated to just working with the assisted living communities and the around the country, regionally, nationally. So we're on top of it to make sure that our franchisees are aware and have the best programs out there.
And regarding Senior Care Authority and the different facets of your business model, are you anticipating any significant changes in the next 1 to 3 years?
Um, you know, Change is good. So yeah, if we remain stagnant, something's wrong. Okay, so we're always changing. Sometimes people don't like to hear that word changing, but we're always we never want to be complacent. We're always updating not only our initial training program, we're always updating that and making sure that our franchisees are educated on the latest and greatest. But We're also providing, ongoing, training for our franchisees on a monthly basis, even after their regular training. But I would say as it relates, they start getting into the 3 years, 3 to 5 years, certainly our type of service is needed around the world. And though currently we're just, not just, but we're, concentrating more in the United States, I can certainly see us in other countries doing this and you know not necessarily depending on the country, not necessarily doing it ourselves, but working with somebody else who may be interested in setting up senior care authority in that particular country or that particular area. So certainly I see expansion outside the US in in that time frame, but uh, changes are a good thing.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that. You and our CEO totally agree on that topic. If, you,
Right.
if you're not changing, her expression is, if you're not changing, you're probably going backwards. So
Now
uh,
I agree wholeheartedly.
we agree. We do realize that, especially in this particular industry.
Right.
Now, as you continue to grow your brand across the country, from the east to the west, north and south, do you anticipate any regional influence from the different states affecting your business model?
Well, I kind of alluded to it previously in your other previous question, but we're dealing with more regional players, okay? Because you have to remember that our franchisees, at least on the placement side of the business, they have to learn their product, and their product are those assisted living and memory care communities in their area. And there's just more, as they say, consolidation going on. And so what happened prior to COVID, uh, all these developers saw the numbers and they said, boy, we're going to open up these locations all over the country. My personal opinion is they kind of jumped the gun a little bit. They overbuilt, and they overbought. And then COVID hit, and they took a hit during that time. And then they made some decisions that's why they decided to sell off some of their properties. People buying them up, and then again, more regional players. But with the demand, the supply of beds around the country, it's starting to tighten up because the demand is tremendous. I mean, you've heard the term silver tsunami, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
so it's just kind of drizzling rain. The winds are starting to pick up right now, so that demand is so we're starting to get a little, good for them that the demand is starting to get a little closer to the supply, okay, than it was. But for a period of time, they sold off some of these locations. So it's just tough to kind of for our franchisees to keep up on who owns this building now and who owns this building. So that's what we do, and we make sure our franchisees are up to date on all of that.
Okay. And Frank, for our audience members who may not currently own a franchise but are looking to be the new investor and maybe senior care authority, can you just describe how you design your territories? What do the metrics look like?
Yeah, so you've heard the term follow the money, right? We
Hmm.
follow we follow the beds. We follow the beds. All right. So every assisted living community in the entire country must be licensed, and they're licensed by the state. It's not federally regulated. Hospitals and nursing homes are federally regulated, but assisted living is state regulated. All right. And we were talking about these developers and opening up all over the country, and they've done their research. They don't just set up a big building and put millions of dollars into it without doing their research. So before I started, I did a lot of research myself, and I realized that there was a direct correlation to uh, the number of beds in a community and the number of people that are 65 and over in that same community. There is a direct correlation. All right. So while many franchisors are, and rightly so, again, maybe a restaurant or hotels, etc., that they may, look at population and all of that. We're really concentrating more on how many licensed assisted living beds are there in an area. And we have a formula based on, how many beds in an area that we feel is the right number for a territory for someone to do well and make a good living at it. And that's how we do it. Now, because we do it in that manner, literally because of the growth of the assisted living industry, the franchisee's territory grows as time goes on, not geographically. They still have the same geographics that it's based on zip codes. But if a new community opens up in their zip code that they own, they just added another community in their area. All right. So from the time of those franchisees that came aboard several years ago, they have way more beds today than they did when we first set up the territory. But that's how we do it. It's kind of an unusual way to do it, but it works extremely well for us.
Okay. And here at FranServe, our job is to find qualified applicants for your company. Please, if you would, Frank, describe the perfect franchisee applicant for Senior Care Authority.
Okay. You, David, that's who we want.
Oh Lord, you've been reading the
Uh,
wrong stuff.
all right, I'll give you some of the things that we look at that might be applicable to other franchise systems as well, but then I'll get into the specifics on ours. But certainly someone who has a willingness to follow a proven system. We've been doing this a while. I was doing it for 5 years myself before I started to franchise it. We have fine-tuned it. We have a great system. It works. So you want someone who's has is willing to follow the proven system. It's one of the reasons that they buy a franchise. Certainly someone who's a self-starter. We're everybody is pretty much home base. Some people have offices, but they're home base. We're not all working in the same building, right? So if we see someone's down and out, we're not there to see them and kick them in the pants, right? So they got to be a self-starter, all right? And willingness to they just have to be a good communicator. Um, they need to be a strong networker. All right. And what I mean by that is we're a B2B to C company. Okay. So what I mean by that is that you're building relationships B2B with the hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, elder law attorneys, financial planners, home care companies. This is where you're getting your leads, even though you end up working directly with the consumer. All right. Um, so David, as and we're not a McDonald's type of franchise where you put up the golden arches and everybody comes. And we're also not the type of a franchise that people use over and over and over again. Matter of fact, we kind of hope for the opposite. I mean, most likely, if a family does use us, they're only going to use us once in a lifetime. All right. If they use
Mhm.
us twice in a lifetime, that's really sad.
Yeah,
It's sad because maybe they had a mother and a father, or they had two relatives that needed that level of care. Though it does happen, it's probably once in a lifetime. So the leads that are coming in from to our franchisees are coming in from those B2B referral sources, all right, because people don't really know who we are. So you have to be a strong networker. That's a huge emphasis, where you could build relationships and trust. So that's something you need to have. And if somebody doesn't have that, our type of business, then it's not a right fit for them. All right. Certainly, I have passion to not only help older adults, but work with the adult children. Most of over approximately 70% of the families we work with have a loved one that's been diagnosed with some cognitive impairment, like a form of dementia, like Alzheimer's. And that's the majority of the families we work with. So even though you're certainly working with the adults, the older adults, you're mainly working with the adult children or other family members. Certainly, we also want somebody with really good technical skills, just good day-to-day communications. We're not going to really provide instruction or training on how to use an email and how to attach something to your email and how to get around the internet. So they have to have some good technical skills, and that's needed day to day. We're going to train on our CRM system and all of that. And certainly somebody also that exhibits patience, compassion, and empathy. That's really important. So hopefully that highlights some of the uh, things we look at for the perfect franchise.
it does. Great description. I appreciate you being so thorough with your answers too. We're going to bring you a new person next week, brand new applicant. They're fully qualified, probably the best franchisee you've ever met in terms of an applicant. From the date they sign that franchise agreement until they have the ribbon cutting and open the doors, what type of time frame are you looking at there?
Well, since it is, home based, I mean, they really kind of the term open, what's open.
Right.
I mean, they open pretty quick. I mean, setting up their website, they're open, right? They're not looking for office space or they're not looking for a location. They're working from home. But they're going to be drinking from a fire hose, for a while. So it does really, before they really start going out there heavy and marketing themselves, it could take up to 60 to 90 days. There's a lot to learn. So we have a very extensive training program. We do on-site visits with them. And they have to learn their product, like we were talking about before. They have to, literally visit the majority or quite a bit of the locations of the assisted living in their area, know them well. And that's when we go out on calls with them and we show them how to vet them and how to, set up agreements with them if we don't already have an agreement nationally or regionally with them, because a lot of locations are locally owned and operated. So I guess to answer your question, probably a good 60 to 90 days.
Which is far quicker than many other franchise brands I can look at that do require brick and mortar locations. So
Right, right. Well, yeah, we're not dealing with site selection and things like that.
you touched on training. Can you speak a little bit about your training, both classroom and in field training as well, in terms of the time frame? How long does that normally take?
Well, we don't do actually quote classroom training. All right, it's broken up into a few different sections. Number one, we want them to get their certification in our industry. It's called a CSA, a Certified Senior Advisor. And so they need to do that, and that could take up to about 30 days or so. A lot of them get going with the certification even before they sign the agreement with us. If they know they're going to do it, and they're maybe waiting for their SBA loan or their 401k rollover put in place, or having their attorney review the agreement, but yet they want to start, they want to get going, right? So we have them start on their certification program. So that could take up to 30 days. Then our training is a combination of online, okay, where they are literally listening to lectures, downloading uh, documents, and then doing one-on-one coaching calls. So we have it set up where they finish a particular section, and then they're advised to send an email to this person to set up their coaching call. All right. So that's what happens all the way through. So complete the CSA, online training together with coaching. Once they complete that, then we go out on the on-site visit with them. So it could go as quickly as they want it to go. Some people who have maybe are keeping their jobs during the training, which we don't oppose. We want them to do this full time once we do that on-site visit. But during the training, they could keep their job if they want, but obviously, if they do, it's going to take them longer. We've had people complete everything, including their CSA in, less than 60 days. Some people, it takes them 3, 4 months because they're moving at it at a slower pace. So
Does
we'll move as quickly as they want to move.
does the CSA require any type of licensing in certain states?
No, it does not.
Good.
The CSA is complements our training. It's not training on being in the placement business. There's a lot of people in the home care industry. There's attorneys. There's financial planners that have CSAs. It's more an education on working with families and working with the senior population. There's real estate agents that get their CSAs. So we feel strongly it complements our program. It's not necessarily a prerequisite. We used to say to people, we want you to get your CSA in your first year. Well, the reason that was a mistake is that, it comes close to a year and we reach out and say that, we see that you never got your certification yet.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, I know it. I got so busy in this business. I don't even have time now. So now we move it at the very front. All right.
Good.
So get your certification. There's no prerequisites necessary. You could do it online. You could go to a classroom for that. Our training, the Senior Care Authority training, is all online and coaching and then on-site visitations.
Well, Frank, we've come to the end of most of my questions. Let me ask you this. If there is one takeaway from today's interview that we may not have touched on that you would like our viewers to know about your brand, what would that be, Frank?
Well, I guess it's in our name. You know, we look at ourselves as the authority in senior care, hence the name Senior Care Authority. And I think it's important for people to know when we bring on a new franchise, what goes through my head is we're going to be helping that many more families out there. All right. And so we work very hard to help our franchisees do well so they could do good things in their areas and help as many families as possible. And that's what gets me excited every day that I get up. All right. We is just I look at the growth of our franchisees, I look at new franchise owners coming in, and that means we're going to be able to help more families out there, which was always the intention when I first started the company.
Okay. Well, Frank, I want to thank you for the privilege of your time today. This entire interview will be posted on the FranServe support site, and it'll be archived in the FranServe library. But beyond that, it'll also be uploaded to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So your name and your company is going to be out there probably a little bit more than it already is. So with that, Frank, thanks again. And with that, we'll adjourn today's FranTastic Insights recording. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate your
Thank you,
time, sir.
Dave, and thank you for everything you and FranServe do as well. We really enjoy working with you.
Thank you. Take care now. Have a good week.